Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. As you can see here, we are going to take a look at another one of these Godzilla King of the Monsters sets. I had reviewed one a few weeks ago and then kind of just delayed on putting some more of these up. But I do have this and the other set, so I do want to get them reviewed for you guys if you are interested. This is, of course, the Mothra and Godzilla set. Very cool looking. On the back of the box, you've got an image there again of Godzilla and Mothra. Very, very nice looking image there. And it just says bring the battle to life, create your own scene, of course, because you get this little image here in the background, which is always fun. A very, very nice looking box, very cool. You got a shot here on the side of the other two sets that do come with this, which we have reviewed the Rodan one already. But let's go ahead, get these out of the box and take a look at them. So there we go, we've got Godzilla out, we've got Mothra out, and we've got that random little image there out. I'm not too big of a fan of these random images that they have that they include. I mean, they're cool, I guess, but they really are so small that they just really don't serve a purpose. I don't understand what the point of them honestly is. They're just so tiny and minuscule, you can't even get both figures in front of it, so you're not really creating too much of a scene unless it's both Mothra and Godzilla sitting down to watch a picture. Or maybe this is what's on their TV. I don't know. I have no idea. I think it would have been nicer for them to include a much larger image that you could place maybe on something similar to these little deals here that they've got. It would have been very cool to include a much larger one. I think that could have made the overall effect of this set a lot better. But regardless, let's go ahead and get a closer look at the new Godzilla and Mothra figures. So as far as Godzilla goes, this is the same Godzilla figure that we reviewed previously. The sculpt is no different. It looks to be exactly the same. The only difference is the addition of the orange on it now, as before I think it had blue, so it was about to spray the atomic breath of Godzilla. This one is supposed to insinuate, I assume, the burning Godzilla or fire Godzilla, depending on who you talk to, depends on how you say it. I'm pretty sure that's what they're going for, but I also have not seen the new film yet, as it's not quite out yet, so we don't know exactly what this is trying to portray. But the addition of the orange does look very nice, very cool. I think it looks much better on the actual back of the box because it's kind of just sloppily dry brushed all over the figure itself, down here on the legs and everything, so I think the image on the box made it look a lot cooler than it actually looks in person, but it still looks okay. It's kind of fun. The eyes appear to be painted pretty nicely. It's a reddish coloration for the eyes. They do look a little better on this one than my previous one. And the teeth are a little bit sloppy, but they're not that bad either. Again, they look a little better than my previous figure did. The sculpt on the Godzilla itself is really nice, and I definitely quite like it a lot. But the addition of the orange paint really isn't that great. And as far as Mothra herself, let's take a look here. There's no articulation in the limbs at all, which is kind of a bummer. I expected there to be some. The wings are kind of getting in the way here of looking at the sculpt, so we'll try to push them up as much as we can. You can see the sculpt is pretty nice, but it's not really overly detailed. It's not terrible, it's not bad at all. It's just not really that great either. The eyes appear to be painted pretty nicely. They're a bluish coloration. And there is some decent sculpting of the small details throughout the body. It looks okay, but again, it's not that great. I think Rodan was much nicer as far as the detail and sculpt goes. This still looks okay, but it's not anything amazing. The wings, I think, are actually a pretty big letdown for me because there's no real sculpt, there's no detail or anything that's been carved into it, and in fact, it appears as though they just took a sticker or a decal, and I guess it is the same plastic, but it's very hard, it's not flexible, and there's nothing to it. It's just very nicely smoothed out, and it's just a decal or a sticker that's been placed on both sides to give it this appearance, which I kind of think is a very lazy way out as far as this goes. But the overall appearance of it, when you take a nice faraway glance, is absolutely beautiful. I think they've done a good job with the design of the new Mothra, making it look very, very realistic and super flashy and really quite beautiful. But I think the actual toy here is fairly poorly sculpted. It's not terrible, again, but it's not the best. It's not exactly what I had expected it to be. Again, you know, it's kind of hit or miss. It's up to you whether you like this kind of thing or not. I would have preferred actual sculpting of the wings and then maybe some paint applied, whereas here they just threw some decals or stickers or something on. I guess I can understand that they wouldn't have included paint on something like this since it is a very intricate design. So, I mean, I guess it's kind of understandable, but it's just that it's kind of a bummer that there's no real sculpt or detail in the wings or anything like that. But it's still not a bad Mothra. I don't know, guys. Maybe one of my problems is I'm just too easy to impress or make happy. But, I kind of like it, but I kind of don't. It's really kind of, I don't know, it's just a tough call. Anyway, as far as articulation goes, of course I said Godzilla in the last review. If you haven't seen it, I'll throw a link in the description. We have reviewed the sculpt, so the arms are articulated, legs are articulated, and the tail is on a swivel. The tail can also disconnect, as you do have to actually put it on when you get it out. And then Mothra has no articulation except the wings, which, I mean, it's okay, because you're going to be flying your Mothra around, and the wings seem to work pretty well. I had one wing fall off, as they do disconnect, but they are a little tough to get off. I mean, not tough, but they shouldn't fall off while you're playing with it unless you're being very, very rough. So that's a plus at least. As far as the size goes, from the tail to the head of Godzilla, you are looking at about 7 inches pretty much on the dot, or about 18 centimeters, and for a height, you're looking at around 3.5 inches or 9 centimeters. On Mothra, there's really not much as far as a height on Mothra. You're looking at about a little over about 2.25 inches or about 6 centimeters. But as far as a wingspan goes, you're looking at about 8.5 inches or 22 centimeters. For a size comparison, totally unrelated to this franchise, but here is our friend Mr. Papo Rex, who has helped us out with so many reviews in the past that I think this should help give you a good idea that these figures are really quite small. So, I mean, it's understandable that they wouldn't have that much incredible sculpt, and I actually think the Godzilla does have some very good sculpt, but the Mothra itself isn't really that overly sculpted. It's kind of a lazy attempt at a Mothra, I think. But again, it's a fairly small figure, it's not very large. Mr. Papo Rex completely dwarfs both, and we know that wouldn't be the case if this were both a Tyrannosaurus Rex, Mothra, and Godzilla in their true sizes standing next to each other. Mr. Papo Rex wouldn't quite feel so tough. So, 2 pretty cool figures. I really like the Godzilla, I do. I love the sculpt on it, I think the sculpt looks great. I love the new addition that they've gone back and redone Godzilla's spines here to look more like classic Godzilla as opposed to the 2014 version. But I think that the orange paint on the Godzilla is kind of sloppy. It just doesn't really look that great. It looks a little weird. And the Mothra itself has some okay sculpt, but it's not overly sculpted. It's not beautiful looking like we saw on Rodan. And the wings themselves on Rodan were just beautiful. But on this Mothra, it's just a very smooth plastic with decals or stickers on or something. It does look very flashy and very beautiful from a distance, but if you're looking for a very detailed Mothra figure, you are definitely not going to find that here. This is probably one of the least detailed Mothra figures in existence. So, it's an okay set. Again, I don't really like the addition of the picture in the background. I think that's just totally random and really does not serve a purpose for the set. So I'm kind of torn on this set. I want to like it because it's Godzilla, but I don't really think it's that great at the same time. It's nice, I'll give it that, but it's definitely not something that I will say you should run out and hurry up and find and buy, because you're not really missing too much by not owning it. If you find it, $10 is what I paid for this set. It's pretty cool for $10 just to have some Godzilla figures, but it's not that great, and any more than $10 I wouldn't really say is worth it. So if you do want to find these, go ahead and check your local Walmart, as that's where I found mine. They should start appearing very soon if they are not there already. And please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.